Hey YouTube, I'm going to share what I think is one of the more underrated features of the LG G3. And in fact, it's so underrated that I think a lot of people in the US might not even know that this is available. And that is Qi charging. On a whim, I sort of looked up wireless charging for the G3. And it turned out that while US variants don't have this by default, it is extremely easy to add the functionality. If you happen to have a international variant of the phone, it will already be there. Now I'm going to show you what I mean. Alrighty, so what you see here is the back plate, of course. Now you see this sticker here. You probably saw, regardless of what type of phone you have, you've probably seen that it has NFC capabilities. So two of these are going to be for NFC. These top two. The bottom two are going to be for Qi charging. Now you don't get the Qi charging by default, like I mentioned. For whatever reason, in my opinion, it's totally bizarre. They have this thing called the Quick Circle case. You may have heard of that. That will replace the entire back cover, and so the Quick Circle case sticks onto that. And the Quick Circle case has exactly this sticker built into it. And so maybe it's like a ploy for them to sell the Quick Circle cases or something, but in my opinion, I just don't dig the look of this case, the Quick Circle case, so what are you going to do? I didn't even, in fact, know about that case until after I'd looked up whether you could, in fact, get wireless charging. So it's for whatever reason really underrated, underhyped, undersold, but it's one of the cooler features of the phone. So I'm just going to show how it works and my experience with it. I was able to just buy a sticker off the internet. I swapped the old sticker out, put the new one on. It wasn't too tricky, and it's pretty straightforward. I did that. I have it exactly how it was before, and then I put this on. And now, when I first got it, I got the sticker before I got the Qi charger. And so I was just so antsy to get started and see if it worked that I went out and I bought this from Staples. This says it's Samsung brand. Any Qi charging is Qi charging. So this is Samsung brand. I bought that. I had to kind of specifically ask for it. They were asking me like what kind of phone I had, and yeah, so I have a specific product in mind, I guess, because they won't necessarily know. The people at the store told me that you had to have the special brand, which is not the case at all. So I got that, and it just works like this. You place the phone over it. You can see that green light up. That tells you it's working. You can see a little light here, or I can see a little light there. It's probably not showing up in the video. And that's all there is to it. Throw it on, take it off. You get a call or whatever, you take the call and then you can put it back on. And I love it. It's just so nice. It's so convenient. Like cords just kind of look kind of messy, and this takes that out completely. It's not perfect though. Couple of downsides that I've experienced are that it has to be within this sweet spot right here on there, or it's not going to work very well. For example, that's good. Now I'm just going to inch it off to the side a bit, and it goes off. So you can kind of see the sweet spot. And then you can even hover it over and it'll work. And then you see that orange light? That means it recognizes it's there, but it kind of it lost the not signal, but there's not enough of a connection for it to work. So see like that, it's off, even though it's centered exactly like I showed you it was centered. Holding it above it messed it up. So 90% of the time, it's just throw it down and go. More than 90%. Then maybe 1% of the time, you won't put it down right. It'll be like that. And see, even that's working. Oh no, you see what I mean? 1% of the time, you won't put it down just centered, and it'll do that. And I still think it's really cool. Like, I'm still hyping it, even though there's that. I just figured I should show that it does have a sweet spot, which makes sense because, the charging sticker is right here. So if it's not over the charging sticker, it literally can't work. It does get a bit warm. Not really to an extent that would be a problem, though. Like, I've checked the battery temperature while it's charging, and it's within a normal range. I forget the numbers off the top of my head. So there's that. There's this charger. Works really well. Now, what I had in the mail when I bought this charger was this guy right here. This is sort of a no-name brand that I bought off Amazon. And to be blunt, it's not very good at all. Now, it didn't even come with this cord. In the instructions it said must have a power supply of, I think, 1 amp and half a volt, or maybe 1.5 amps and half a volt. Except, and if it doesn't include the power supply, it's hard to just round up a charger that has that, because most of my old ones are for older phones, and older phones didn't require as much power as these newer ones. Look at that, you can see it was charging. And so there was that. So I had to round something up, and now this is I believe it's 0.7 amps and half a volt, so it's vastly underpowering it. Although, as you can maybe see, screen, it's still charging. So it works. It's a bit slower. If I wanted to, I would switch these out. I could switch that out. I would have to find another power supply. And in fact, I think what you could use would be your G3 power supply that came with the phone. That would be perfect. For whatever reason, though, I just don't use it. I don't use it like that. If this is the one on my desk and I figure I'll just throw it down, and if it takes longer to charge, it takes longer to charge. It means the battery doesn't get as warm. I don't know, I get kind of finicky about trying to maximize the battery life, so I'll usually take it off at 80%, so it actually doesn't bother me at all that it's taking longer, but it was I was surprised that it didn't come with the power supply. So keep that in mind. In this sense, I don't actually mind that I spent a lot of extra money on this one because it was superior. So the other thing was, I mentioned the sweet spot on here, and that's even more apparent on here. If you don't do it just right, it's not going to work. And now I guess I have a feel for it now, and I can do it well every time, but you can't just throw it down mindlessly without paying attention. That's charging. That's not charging. That's not charging. That is charging. So this one is more finicky. It's harder to get the sweet spot. It is kind of nice though. I like having it angled, I just have it on my desk and I can look at it. It's neat. One other thing that people might be wondering about is how long it takes to charge. And like I said, I'm finicky about my battery. I never drain it down to 0. But with this one, with the good power supply, it's pretty quick. It'll do half a charge in maybe an hour, 2 hours max. Less. I think it would probably do 50% in an hour. And you could look up official stats for different chargers and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, it's quick, and this one's slower because it doesn't have the full power going to it, but it works for me. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. And check it out. I would definitely recommend getting the Qi wireless charging capability. It's pretty awesome for me. I'm thinking of picking up another charger, putting one in the car, and then, you know, if I'm listening to music or whatever, I'll just throw it down and I don't even have to think about it. An extra factor for that would be you want something that will hold the phone in place. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna be bouncing up and down and hit a pothole and then it'll stop charging. So I believe they make chargers that kind of anchor it in there. You would want something like that. And that would just be a really neat thing to have in the car. It would make it look really sleek. Say you have it just mounted like that, you know, Bluetooth speakers, or Bluetooth connection to your stereo, like no wires at all. That's just sleek. To me, that is the future. So yeah, take it easy.